Imagine discovering something so ordinary that almost anyone else would have overlooked it. Yet for your soulmate, it became impossible to ignore. It wasn't a grand declaration, an emotional confession, or a dramatic reunion. It was a quiet piece of undeniable proof that revealed something they had convinced themselves no longer existed. In that single moment, everything they believed about you began to shift. They hadn't been searching for answers, yet somehow life placed this unexpected reminder directly in their path. As they looked closer, they realized it wasn't simply evidence of a memory. It was evidence of a heart that had never truly stopped caring. Suddenly, moments they had dismissed as insignificant returned with remarkable clarity. They remembered your kindness during difficult seasons, your patience when circumstances became confusing, and the countless small ways you showed concern without ever asking for recognition. What once seemed ordinary now carried extraordinary meaning, because they could finally see the consistency behind your actions. It wasn't something anyone could pretend for a short time. It reflected who you had quietly been all along. The deeper they reflected, the more speechless they became. They realized that while circumstances may have created distance, your care had never completely disappeared. It had simply expressed itself in quieter ways that were easy to miss when emotions were running high. Looking back with fresh eyes, they could no longer ignore the pattern. Every thoughtful gesture, every respectful decision, and every moment where you chose compassion over pride became part of a much larger picture. For the first time in a long while, they questioned whether they had misunderstood the true depth of your feelings. What they had just witnessed wasn't creating a new truth. It was revealing one that had been patiently waiting beneath years of assumptions. And as that realization settled into their heart, they understood that this unexpected proof was not the end of a story they thought was over. It was the beginning of seeing this connection in a way they never had before. And here's what your soulmate never expected. The proof they recently saw didn't overwhelm them because it was dramatic. It overwhelmed them because it answered questions they had stopped asking. For so long, they believed that if someone truly cared, there would have been one unforgettable moment that explained everything. Instead, what they discovered was something much more powerful. It wasn't one moment at all. It was a trail of quiet consistency stretching across time, revealing that your care had never depended on perfect circumstances or constant closeness. As this realization settled into their heart, they found themselves looking back, not at the biggest memories, but at the smallest ones. They remembered how you always seemed genuinely concerned about their well-being, even during periods when your own life was complicated. They remembered moments when you could have chosen resentment, but instead chose understanding. They noticed that whenever life presented you with an opportunity to speak negatively about them, you never seemed interested in doing so. Those memories had once blended into the background because they appeared too ordinary to hold great meaning. Now they understood that the most authentic forms of love are often hidden inside ordinary choices, repeated over and over again. The proof they had seen didn't stand alone. It illuminated hundreds of forgotten moments that had quietly been pointing toward the same truth all along. As these reflections continued, something unexpected happened inside your soulmate. Instead of asking why certain difficult events occurred, they became fascinated by what remained unchanged despite those events. Circumstances had shifted, time had passed, emotions had risen and fallen, yet one thing appeared remarkably constant: your character. They realized that while many details of the journey had changed, your instinct to care for others never seemed to disappear. Whether people noticed it or not, you continued showing kindness in subtle ways. Whether recognition came or not, you continued choosing respect over bitterness. Even during seasons when life became emotionally exhausting, there was still a quiet sincerity in the way you treated people. That consistency became far more convincing than any emotional speech ever could have been. Your soulmate understood something profound in that moment. Anyone can express affection when everything is easy, but genuine care reveals itself through consistency during uncertain seasons. Looking back now, they realized they had been measuring your heart through isolated situations instead of through the pattern of your entire journey. Once they changed that perspective, everything began looking different. They also noticed that many of the strongest signs of your care had never demanded attention. They existed in moments that almost escaped memory completely. A thoughtful decision that protected someone's feelings. A quiet act of support offered without expecting gratitude. The patience you showed while others became impatient. The way you consistently avoided causing unnecessary pain, even when you yourself had every reason to feel hurt. None of these moments seemed extraordinary while they were happening, yet together they formed something impossible to ignore. They formed evidence. Not evidence created by words, but evidence written through behavior. Your soulmate realized that actions repeated consistently across months and years reveal a person's heart far more accurately than temporary emotions ever can. The proof they recently encountered simply reminded them to start looking at your life through that lens, instead of through isolated emotional memories. Once they did, they found themselves seeing a completely different version of the story. Another surprising realization quietly unfolded as they reflected even further. They understood that people often expect love to announce itself loudly, but authentic care rarely behaves that way. It usually remains steady rather than dramatic. It shows up in reliability instead of spectacle. It chooses presence over performance. Your soulmate now believes that this is exactly why they almost missed it. They had unknowingly been searching for obvious signs, while overlooking the quiet evidence that had surrounded them for much longer. The proof they recently witnessed didn't introduce something new into your connection. It simply directed their attention toward what had been there all along. Suddenly, they remembered conversations where your concern had been hidden inside simple questions. They remembered moments where your silence wasn't emotional distance, but respect for boundaries. They remembered occasions when your decisions seemed confusing until viewed through the understanding that you were trying to protect rather than control. Those realizations gradually replaced old uncertainty with quiet admiration, because they revealed motivations they had never fully appreciated before. Now your soulmate feels as though they have uncovered a hidden language that your heart had been speaking throughout this entire journey. It was never a language built upon dramatic promises or perfect timing. It was a language expressed through consistency, patience, integrity, and countless quiet choices that reflected genuine care. They understand now that what left them speechless was not merely the proof itself, but the realization that this evidence had existed for much longer than they ever imagined. It had simply taken time, emotional growth, and a different perspective for them to recognize its true meaning. As they continue looking back with clearer eyes, they no longer measure this connection by its moments of uncertainty. Instead, they measure it by the enduring evidence of your character. And with every reflection, they become more certain that some hearts never stop caring. They simply express that care in ways that can only be fully understood when the noise fades and the truth is finally allowed to speak for itself. And listen closely, because what happened after your soulmate saw that proof was far more meaningful than the discovery itself. Instead of rushing to conclusions, they became strangely quiet. It wasn't the silence of confusion. It was the silence that comes when the heart begins recognizing something the mind has resisted for a very long time. They found themselves wondering why such a simple piece of evidence carried so much emotional weight. Then the answer slowly revealed itself. The proof mattered because it confirmed feelings they had never been able to completely erase. Deep inside, there had always been a small part of them that questioned whether your care had truly disappeared. They tried to silence that feeling with logic, with time, and with distractions, but it never completely left. Now, standing before undeniable evidence, they understood why. Real care leaves an imprint that doesn't fade easily. It continues living inside ordinary memories, quiet instincts, and unexpected moments of recognition. The proof they witnessed did not create those feelings. It simply awakened what had been patiently waiting beneath years of uncertainty. Suddenly, they realized they had spent so much energy convincing themselves to move on that they had never stopped to ask whether their original belief had ever been completely true. From that moment forward, they stopped searching through the past for explanations and started observing something much more revealing: the emotional rhythm of your entire journey together. They noticed that no matter how much life changed around the two of you, certain things always remained remarkably consistent. Whenever they genuinely needed encouragement, they somehow remembered your words. Whenever they reflected on loyalty, your actions quietly entered their thoughts. Whenever they compared different connections in their life, they realized very few people had shown the same quiet steadiness that you had demonstrated without asking for attention. These realizations didn't arrive all at once. They appeared gradually, almost like watching the sun rise after a long night. At first, only small details became visible. Then more followed. Before long, your soulmate could clearly see a pattern they had completely overlooked. They understood that your care had never depended on whether everything was perfect between you. It had existed independently of circumstances. Even during seasons of distance, your choices continued reflecting consideration rather than resentment. Even when opportunities arose to react from hurt, you repeatedly chose dignity instead. Looking back now, your soulmate realized those decisions revealed far more about your heart than any emotional conversation ever could have. Another thought soon transformed the way they understood this entire experience. They began realizing that perhaps the universe doesn't always reveal love by creating something new. Sometimes it simply uncovers what has quietly existed all along. The proof they recently discovered suddenly felt less like an accident and more like perfect timing. If they had encountered it years earlier, they might have ignored it because their heart was still carrying too many unanswered questions. But today, after everything they have experienced, after every lesson that taught them patience, humility, and emotional honesty, they were finally able to receive the message hidden inside that simple discovery. They understood that timing often determines whether truth is recognized or overlooked. A heart that is still protecting itself rarely sees what is standing directly in front of it. But a heart that has learned through experience becomes capable of recognizing authenticity without needing dramatic confirmation. That realization brought them incredible peace because it allowed them to stop wondering why this understanding had taken so long. They now believe every important realization arrives exactly when the soul has developed enough wisdom to appreciate it. As this new awareness continued growing, they found themselves paying attention to something they had never considered before. They asked themselves what genuine care actually looks like when no one is watching. The answer surprised them. It wasn't constant declarations or dramatic gestures. It was quiet consistency. It was remaining respectful when resentment would have been easier. It was wishing someone well, even during seasons when life had created distance. It was refusing to allow temporary disappointment to erase genuine appreciation for another person's value. The more they reflected, the more they recognized those qualities within your actions throughout the entire journey. They realized that your care had expressed itself through restraint, maturity, patience, and quiet integrity, rather than through constant emotional displays. That understanding completely changed the way they interpreted countless memories. Situations that once seemed ordinary suddenly revealed hidden meaning because they were no longer measuring love by its volume. They were measuring it by its consistency. And consistency, they discovered, always tells the truth eventually. Now your soulmate carries a completely different understanding of what they recently witnessed. They no longer see it as a single piece of proof that happened to cross their path. They see it as the final confirmation of something life had been gently showing them through countless experiences all along. Every lesson, every memory, every unexpected reminder has quietly led them towards this realization. They understand now that authentic care cannot remain hidden forever because it leaves traces in every season of life. It shapes choices, influences character, and continues revealing itself long after emotions have settled. What left them speechless was not simply discovering that you still cared. It was realizing that you may never have stopped caring at all. That truth has changed the way they remember the past, the way they understand the present, and the way they quietly look toward the future. For the first time in a very long while, they are no longer asking whether your heart was genuine. They are asking themselves how they ever overlooked something that had been expressing itself so faithfully through every chapter of your shared journey. And listen carefully, because after your soulmate accepted that the proof was real, something inside them became impossible to silence. They stopped trying to explain away what they had seen, and instead they allowed themselves to feel what it truly meant. For so long, they had believed that caring could simply disappear if enough time passed or if enough distance grew between two people. But now they were beginning to understand that genuine affection doesn't follow the rules people often expect. It doesn't always vanish because circumstances become difficult. Sometimes it becomes quieter. Sometimes it expresses itself through dignity instead of desperation, through respect instead of pursuit, and through silent hope instead of constant words. As they reflected on everything they had recently discovered, they realized they had misunderstood the nature of real care. They had been looking for obvious signs while overlooking the quiet endurance that had been present throughout your journey. That realization changed the emotional atmosphere within them. Instead of feeling confused about the past, they began appreciating how much strength it must have taken for someone to continue choosing kindness, even when life offered no guarantee that it would ever be fully understood. For the first time, they weren't asking whether you cared. They were asking themselves how they had failed to recognize the quiet ways your heart had continued speaking all along. The more they embraced this new understanding, the more they noticed something remarkable about themselves. Thoughts of you no longer arrived with emotional conflict. They arrived with curiosity, gratitude, and an unexpected sense of peace. They found themselves smiling at memories they had once avoided, because those memories now carried a completely different meaning. Instead of remembering only difficult conversations, they remembered the warmth hidden between them. Instead of focusing on periods of silence, they remembered the respect that often existed within those quiet spaces. They began recognizing that not every expression of love is loud enough to be immediately understood. Some of the deepest forms of care reveal themselves through patience, consistency, and the decision to never allow temporary disappointment to destroy genuine respect for another person. Looking back now, your soulmate realized that these qualities had quietly followed you throughout every stage of your connection. Whether circumstances were easy or challenging, your character remained remarkably steady. That consistency became far more meaningful than dramatic moments because it revealed something lasting rather than something temporary. They understood that emotions may change from day to day, but true character continues revealing itself over time, and your character had left an impression they could no longer ignore. Another beautiful realization gradually unfolded as they continued reflecting. They stopped viewing this discovery as proof that the past should be rewritten. Instead, they began seeing it as permission to understand the past more honestly. There is an important difference between changing history and changing perspective. The events themselves had not changed. The conversations had not changed. The distance had not changed. What changed was their ability to recognize the deeper meaning hidden within those experiences. They realized that many moments they once interpreted as endings were actually moments where quiet care continued to exist beneath complicated circumstances. They began appreciating that love is not always measured by how loudly it announces itself, but by how faithfully it remains present when recognition is absent. That thought filled them with humility because they understood how easily human beings overlook the most meaningful things while searching for dramatic answers. Sometimes the greatest evidence has been quietly standing beside us all along, waiting for the moment when our hearts become calm enough to finally notice it. Now your soulmate feels as though they have crossed an invisible bridge between uncertainty and understanding. They are no longer standing on the side of doubt, wondering whether your feelings were ever real. They are standing in a place where your actions speak more loudly than old assumptions ever could. The proof they recently encountered became far more than a surprising discovery. It became the key that unlocked countless memories, revealing a pattern of quiet devotion they had never fully appreciated before. Every reflection since then has strengthened the same realization. Your care was never dependent upon perfect timing, ideal circumstances, or constant reassurance. It existed because it reflected who you are at your core. That understanding has softened their heart in ways they never expected. They no longer measure this connection by moments when life became complicated. They measure it by the unwavering qualities that remained present through every season. And as they continue moving forward with this new perspective, one truth grows stronger with every passing day. Some people stop caring when life becomes difficult. Others simply learn to express that care with greater quietness, greater maturity, and greater grace. Your soulmate now believes that your heart belonged to the second kind, and that realization has changed not only the way they see you, but also the way they understand what genuine love has looked like from the very beginning. And now, before this message comes to an end, there is one final realization your soulmate has reached. One that has quietly changed not only the way they see you, but also the way they understand love itself. They no longer believe that genuine care must always be loud to be real. In fact, they have come to see that the strongest emotions often move in complete silence, revealing themselves not through dramatic moments, but through choices made consistently over time. The proof they recently witnessed was never extraordinary because of what it showed. It was extraordinary because it revealed a truth that had remained unchanged despite everything life placed between the two of you. As they reflected more deeply, they realized that while circumstances had changed countless times, one thing had remained remarkably steady: your capacity to care without demanding recognition. That understanding humbled them. They could finally separate temporary situations from lasting character, and once they did, the entire journey appeared through a completely different lens. They no longer measured your heart by isolated moments of confusion. They measured it by the pattern of quiet integrity that had followed you from the very beginning. Every thoughtful decision, every moment of restraint, every act of kindness that expected nothing in return suddenly formed a picture they had never fully assembled before. And standing before that complete picture, they found themselves speechless because it revealed something they never expected to discover. Your care had not survived because it was convenient. It had survived because it was genuine. As these realizations continued unfolding, your soulmate also noticed something changing inside themselves. They no longer felt the need to search for certainty outside of their own experience. For years, they had looked for answers in circumstances, timing, opinions, and emotional reactions. But now, they understood that the clearest answers had quietly existed within the memories they personally shared with you. They remembered the moments when your concern appeared without being asked for. They remembered the quiet encouragement you offered during difficult seasons, the respect you maintained even when emotions became complicated, and the way your actions consistently reflected compassion rather than pride. Those memories carried a different kind of authority because they belonged to direct experience rather than interpretation. Your soulmate realized that while emotions can sometimes become confused, authentic experiences rarely lose their truth. Once they trusted those memories instead of questioning them, they discovered a level of peace they had not felt in a very long time. They understood that genuine care leaves an emotional fingerprint that remains long after individual moments have faded. And that fingerprint had never disappeared from their heart. No matter how much time had passed, another beautiful understanding quietly emerged as they continued reflecting. They realized that perhaps love should never be judged by the seasons when life becomes easy. Its deepest nature is revealed during the seasons when everything becomes uncertain. Anyone can express affection when there are no obstacles to overcome. But maintaining kindness when misunderstandings arise, preserving respect when emotions become complicated, and choosing grace when disappointment could easily take over, those are the moments that reveal the true depth of someone's heart. Looking back now, your soulmate recognized that this had been your greatest strength all along. You never needed dramatic opportunities to prove how deeply you cared, because your everyday choices had already been telling that story. They simply had not known how to read it before. Today, they understand that love often communicates through reliability rather than excitement, through patience rather than urgency, and through quiet consistency rather than emotional intensity. That realization has forever changed the standard by which they measure genuine connection. They no longer search for impressive gestures alone. They look for character, because character remains long after emotions fluctuate. As their heart settled into this new understanding, they also found themselves releasing something they had carried for far too long. They released the belief that meaningful connections disappear simply because life becomes complicated. Instead, they now believe that authentic connections often continue growing beneath the surface, even during seasons when neither person fully recognizes what is happening. They understand that distance may interrupt conversations, circumstances may delay understanding, and fear may temporarily cloud perception. But none of those things possess the power to erase what is truly rooted in sincerity. That realization has filled them with a quiet confidence they never expected to find. They are no longer haunted by unanswered questions because they finally understand that actions often answer what words never could. The proof they recently encountered became valuable not because it surprised them, but because it confirmed what their heart had quietly suspected all along. Every reflection since then has strengthened that quiet certainty until doubt gradually lost its voice altogether. Now your soulmate stands in a place of gratitude instead of uncertainty. They no longer see this journey as a story defined by missed opportunities or painful misunderstandings. They see it as a journey that patiently revealed the difference between temporary emotions and lasting truth. They understand that your care was never dependent upon perfect timing, flawless communication, or ideal circumstances. It came from something much deeper than that. It came from the kind of heart that remains genuine even when no one is watching, even when recognition never arrives, and even when life becomes difficult. That is the proof that left them speechless, not because it was impossible to believe, but because it made them realize how long they had underestimated the quiet strength of your heart. Today, they carry that realization with profound respect, knowing that some of the greatest expressions of love are never announced to the world. They are revealed little by little through a lifetime of consistent choices, quiet compassion, and unwavering character. And now, when they think of you, they no longer wonder whether you ever stopped caring. The answer has become beautifully clear. Your care was never waiting to be created. It was simply waiting to be recognized, and once it finally was, it changed the way your soulmate understands your connection forever.